Hello and welcome everybody to my very first YouTube video. I'm Michael. One of my hobbies is the design and creation of all kinds of projects. I'm not specialized on anything but work with metals, woods, plastics to create tools, upgrades to my machines, parts for my cars, furniture, games, toys, and so forth. I will cover specific projects and upgrades to my machines, especially in future videos. This video is about the work environment, the machines I have, and how I organized everything to fit everything in this rather small space. I want to point out that this is a pure DIY hobby workshop. I don't run a business. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so just for fun. This video is cut in 3 parts. The first part is the introduction, that's what we're doing right now. Then we walk to my computer real quick to give you an overview in a 3D Fusion model about the overall layout. And finally a walkthrough through the workshop area with more details. Okay, this is a Fusion 3D model of my townhouse with the underground garage and workshop. As a side note, a model or detailed floor plan come in quite handy when you're trying to figure out what tools or machines you can fit in your workshop before you buy them, or if you need to rearrange tools you already have. It's just much faster and easier to move stuff around in Fusion or with paper cutouts on a paper floor plan than it is moving the machines physically on the floor. Let's take a look at the garage. Here we go. Total floor space is 889 square feet, of which 730 square feet are usable. Ceiling height behind the gate back to this wall here is 112 feet and 96 feet for the rest of the workshop ceiling. The garage has a concrete floor and ceiling, concrete and cinder block walls, 3 separate 110 volt circuits available. Wi-Fi is pretty good at over 100 megabits per second. I do not have daylight, running water, or AC in the garage. Access to the garage is through a stairway back here, up to the first floor, and through the gate. Around the corner of the gate here, there's another gate, and then an on-ramp up to the street level. On this wall is a fire monitoring system and all the valves and pipes for the fire sprinkler system, which renders this wall pretty much unusable for anything else because the system needs to be accessible at all times. Here are the shelves I installed. You might notice that most of them are pretty much high up and close to the ceiling in order to free up valuable floor space. Next we come to the furniture, tool chests, workbenches. There's a 12 by 12 feet corner workbench with cabinets and drawers underneath for additional storage, and a 3 by 5 island workbench, which can be extended by a tabletop, a 3 by 5 inch tabletop, which comes in quite handy actually when you work, especially for example with fabrics. And now we get to the tools. Let's just circle around. There's a portable car lift folded against the wall and the hydraulics for it. This is a charging panel for my electrical scooters and the load chargers for my other vehicles. This is a battery charger underneath here. This is a mechanical mill, a lathe, a snapmaker. If you have not heard yet about snapmaker, it's a 3-in-1 tool. It combines a 3D printer, a laser cutter, and a small CNC mill. Up here is the air compressor with an additional air tank. Then here in the corner is a CNC mill with its keyboard and monitor and controller. Back in the corner, also tucked in the corner underneath the ceiling, is a dust collector. Here is a welder table saw, on top of it a wood bandsaw, a combination belt and rotary sander, a 12-inch miter saw. That's another miter saw, a 10-inch miter saw, which I don't use too often, just when working off-site or when cutting larger aluminum stock. Here's a vise, and let me turn this around. There's a drill press, jigsaw, grinder, buffer, a bandsaw which sits on top of the island. It can be removed easily. And then here attached to it is a router table which just folds up or down. To save space, you can just fold it down. And then up here is an electrical hoist with a capacity of about 1,250 pounds, which I use to lift the heavier machinery like the lathe mill, CNC mill, on their stands. This arrangement, let me turn it around here, that leaves me still enough room to park all my vehicles, and all of them can be moved in and out without moving anything else. There's 2 cars, and then I have 2 motorcycles and 2 scooters. That's pretty much it about that. Let's go back to the shop and let's have a look at reality. Okay, we're back to the shop. This is a look into the garage through the gate. Ceiling height, by the way, is 112 inches between the gate and the back wall, and 96 inches for the rest of the workshop. I took out one car to make it easier to walk around with my tripod. And this is a look at the additional main gate and the on-ramp to street level. We started 360-degree walkthrough at the garage gate. On this wall, shelves with suitcases, ski boots, ladders, gardening tools. On the back wall, the before mentioned fire monitoring and sprinkler system with some stands for my motorcycles. In the corner here is the car lift. It folds against the wall, it's out of the way. It's a quick check system. When you need it, you drop it on the floor, move it underneath the car, attach the hydraulics, lift the car, and when you're done, everything in reverse. It serves me quite well. I don't use it very often, probably 2-3 times a year. And in comparison to a full-size, permanently installed car lift, it's an acceptable compromise. In the corner here, an electrical panel I created to charge my electric scooters and to load charge my cars and motorcycles. The cables for the load chargers are routed back to the ceiling, and they're dropped down again on top of the car so that I don't have loose cables on the floor. On this wall, space for my helmets on top of the shelf, a charging processor for my cars and motorcycles, and my mini mill. All the tools I need for the mill are arranged right here. R8 collets, a 5C collet set, the fixtures, boring head, chucks, and so on. This location presented me with a little challenge because I had limited Z-axis travel. So I created this little cutout here, and then the headstock can just move through, and I have more freedom in Z. A micro quantity lubrication system on MQL, DRO, and the mill stands on a customized Yukon 5-drawer tool chest, which gives me space for measuring tools and all the things, 1, 2, 3 blocks you need for milling. I have space for a rotary table here, an angle, and then here attached to it the vacuum cleaner, pressurized air, and a work light. Next to the mill is my snapmaker machine. The snapmaker is a 3-in-1 combination of laser cutter, 3D printer, and a small CNC mill. Big advantage for me is that I have all these 3 functions within one footprint without the need to have 3 separate machines. The way you change from one function to the next is very simple. I have this quick swap system. You just release the tool head, swap it against another one, replace the bed. For example, if you do 3D printing, you put on a heated bed, and Snapmaker offers a full-size enclosure. The problem for me was that it almost doubles the size of the footprint. I didn't have the space. So what I did is I installed a little air purifier, which is helpful, especially when you cut in plastics like acrylic or something. It takes away the smell and the fumes. Underneath the Snapmaker are all the fixtures and materials I need, and safety goggles and tool heads, filaments and all these things. In the corner up here is my air compressor, and I added an additional 10-gallon tanks. The air compressor comes with 8 gallons. An additional 10-gallon tanks to limit the kick-in, kick-out cycles of the compressor. Gives me a little bit more air capacity. One issue I had in the beginning, this is normally sold as a mobile system on a little trolley. So I took off the wheels to mount it on here, but now all the gauges, pressure gauges, were facing upwards, and the on-off switch is also on top of this assembly, which was not reachable from down here without a stepladder. So what I did is, in the beginning, I mounted a mirror on the ceiling to see the gauges. That didn't work very well, was kind of ridiculous. So I rearranged the gauges that they're facing me now. It's easier to look at them, and I installed a little remote control rod for the on-off switch, so I can operate it without the need for a stepladder. Here is a little 3-way distribution panel for air. I run 3 separate circuits. One goes to the mill, the other one to the lathe and the CNC mill, a third one over to the workbenches. The reason why I have this, if there's ever a leak in one of the circuits, or if I need to work on one of the circuits, I can just shut down this one circuit and still can work with the other ones. So it does not shut down the whole system if there's a leak. Serves me quite well. Here's my lathe. It's the largest model I could fit into this space. It sits on a customized Husky 7-drawer tool chest, customized in a way that I reinforced it with steel angles and so on, bolted it against the wall to give it more stability. This tool chest again allows me to have all the measuring equipment, cutting tools, additional jugs, collet jug, 4-jug, and so forth. Everything I need close to the machine. I had one challenge. The distance from the end of the machine to the wall is just about 16 inches. Now the spindle bore of this chuck is 1 inch and allows to operate with longer stock. So I was limited by the wall, and in order to address that, I drilled a hole into this wall and now can feed the stock into the wall more or less. Behind the wall is just a hollow space. It's underneath the stairway, so it didn't hurt me. And now I can work with longer materials. Again, the lathe has its own work light, vacuum, air, an MQL, a DRO. As a side note, a DRO for mill is, I think, almost mandatory. It's much easier to deal with backlash and so on. On a lathe, it's really not that important. The reason why I have a DRO is because I work with metrics and with inch material, and it makes it just much easier if you have a digital readout for that. Okay, moving on to my CNC mill. It's a Tormach 770M, and as an option you can order this machine with its own full enclosure and stand, which comes in very handy when you work with flood cooling, but I just did not have the space to make that work, so I created my own little enclosure and my own stand. Very proud of this little stand here. I installed 4 drawers, which gives me space for all the tools and measuring equipment and so forth. It has a load capacity of 10,000 pounds, and it sits on 4 swivel stands, which allows for very precise leveling of the machine. It also has 4 casters underneath, and which allowed me to move the machine in place. And when it's in place, you just lower the swivel stand. It takes us off the casters to give it a more stable setting. I installed a shelf system for all the TTS tool holders, an MQL, micro quantity lubrication system, very similar to a fork buster. I just wanted to have a few additional features, so I built it myself. The controller, monitor and keyboard of this machine are typically attached with a little beam from the stand to the controller. That didn't work in my case because it would not allow for access to the back of the machine where all the electrical panels are. So I created my own. The stand is actually based on a transmission lift. I didn't use it for 10 years, so it was just sitting around, so I thought I might as well just utilize that. I put a little board on top of it and mounted the keyboard and monitor here. The advantage is it allows me to move this thing around freely, get it out of the way. It works quite well actually. In the corner back here is a very valuable addition to my workshop. It is a dust collecting system. I took the system apart, just kept the essentials and tucked it into the corner underneath the ceiling to get it out of the way. And it's attached to all the dust producing machines, bandsaws, belt sanders and so on. It works great. Next to the dust collector is my welder. I just take it off the shelf. I have a welding table folded against the wall over there. This is my table saw. It has its own trolley, and if you need it, you pull it away from the wall, unfold the legs, flip it over, connect it to the dust collector, you're done. Setup time about 2 minutes. And when you're done, you just fold it and push it back against the wall. On top of the table saw, a wood bandsaw, which was before located next to the table saw, which of course would have prevented access to the back of the CNC mill. So what I did is I moved the machine, put it on its own shelf on top of the table saw. Advantage is that I only need 1 footprint for 2 machines. It saves me quite a lot of space. One disadvantage of the setup was in the beginning that I could not work with longer stock or work pieces, because at a certain point you hit the wall here. So what I did is I just put it on a turntable, and now if you have longer materials or work pieces, you just turn the machine, and then you have a lot of space in that direction. It works quite well. It's also hooked up to the dust collector. Next to it, a belt sander and a 12-inch miter saw. All these machines again are on casters and can be moved to where you need them. Over here another, that's a 12-inch miter saw, that's a 10-inch miter saw, which I don't use very often. Just put it against the wall to get it out of the way. I use this machine when I have something to do off-site. It's much easier to carry this little machine instead of the larger one. And I also use it for cutting aluminum stock. I have aluminum cutting blades for the miter saws and for the table saws. So if my small metal bandsaw, I'll show you later, is too small to cut certain pieces, I use those machines. It's not optimal, but it works. Moving on, there's a Lathe, little bench press, which you can just freely move around wherever you need it. All the hand power tools. Back here is a laptop, which I highly recommend, especially if you're working with a CNC mill. It's kind of handy, because otherwise you're ending up running back and forth to your office or wherever your computer is located a lot. Little soldering station. Here are the drill press, jigsaw, bench grinder, and a buffer. Sometimes I need to work with a little bit longer stock, so that was kind of inconvenient. So what I did is I placed this buffer on a sliding shelf. I can pull it out, gives me a little bit more room to move, and when I'm done I just push it back and be done with it. This is my metal bandsaw. It's sold as a portable system, and I built a little stand for it to allow for more precise and easier cutting of metals. It works actually quite well even when cutting steel. Added a lubrication system. It can be easily moved by removing these steel holders, and then you can just put it away and you put them back in. It has a stable setting. Added a fence. It was a little bit awkward to reach the on-off button here at the back, so I added a mechanical remote control. Makes it a little bit easier. The machine attaches to the stand with 2 small screws. Added a little support rod for added stability, so you can just detach the machine from the stand and have a portable system. Attached to the island workbench is a router table. Just folds up when you need it and then folds back down to give you back the space. Finally, that's my electrical hoist mounted to the ceiling pretty much in the center of the garage. It has a lifting capacity of about 1,200 pounds, and I used it to lift the heavier machines, belt sander, mill, lathe, CNC mill, on top of their stand. So the process typically recommended to move your machines is that you place the stand at its final location, then you lift the machine with an engine hoist and move the machine to the stand. I did it differently. I lifted the machine, and while it was up in the air, I moved the stand underneath, dropped the machine on top of it, and then moved the complete assembly, stand plus machine, to its final location. With all the machines, they have their own casters. So when it was at the final location, I removed the casters. For the mill and the lathe, for example, I used these detachable casters. So I moved them, took those off, bolted the machine to the wall to give it a more stable setting. With the CNC mill, of course, that didn't work because the load capacity of those is not sufficient. The CNC mill has its own casters permanently attached to the machine, and when I move the machine and its stand to the final location, I lowered the swivel stands, the leveling swivel stands to the ground, lifting the machine off the casters to give it a more stable setting. I built a lifting rig or lifting bar, which allows me to balance the machine. So pretty much what I do is I lift it and see if the center of gravity aligns with the lifting bar, and then I can drop the machine evenly on the stand. Works actually quite well. This brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I was able to give you some ideas. I will follow up with more videos about specific projects and machines. And happy creation. Looking forward to see you very soon.